Everyone talks about Fishtown and Northern Liberties, but if you want a neighborhood that has a lot of potential for future momentum, right now you want to look at Old Kensington. This neighborhood is changing very quickly, and I'm going to show you why. My name is Gabriele. I am a Philly real estate agent here in Philadelphia. Our office is just steps from Old Kensington. And I have seen that this is one of the fastest growing neighborhoods currently in the entire city. So today we're going to do a walk through Old Kensington and show you why this neighborhood is really booming and why it's well positioned for a lot of future growth. So the number one thing that I want to address here is Kensington obviously has a stigma attached to it. So anytime someone hears Kensington, they think of, obviously, there is a huge drug crisis that's going on in Kensington in Philadelphia, and people really associate that neighborhood name with, those types of issues. However, Old Kensington, East Kensington, and then Kensington are all really different neighborhoods, and they are all separated by a pretty good amount of square footage. So you're not really, like, when you're in Old Kensington, in the area that I would consider the Kensington that most people think about and associate that word with. Old Kensington is actually in an awesome position. It's from Gerard to Cecil B. Moore, and then from 5th Street to Front Street. So when you think about those boundaries, what you're going to understand is that this neighborhood is actually positioned very, very well, and it's primed for future growth. It's primed for appreciation, and it's primed to really be walkable to a lot of different commercial strips. And that's what I'm going to go through in this video to familiarize you with some of the different areas in the neighborhood and some of the opportunities that I see for growth. So the first thing that you want to note with Old Kensington is you have Germantown Ave that is running diagonally right through that neighborhood. So Germantown Ave has seen a ton of development over the last few years. You've seen brand new construction, but you've also seen a lot of former industrial sites and warehouses that are getting converted into residential. So you think these lofted type apartments, the exposed brick, the old breweries, design studios, and those are getting transformed into a lot of more modern residential properties, condos, apartments, things of that nature. But this street still really feels very historical in a lot of ways. You do get those older buildings, even with a lot of the new growth that's happening. So Germantown Ave is really that main commercial strip in the neighborhood that is now running up to American Street. And American Street is the second strip in the neighborhood that is really one of the reasons I think this neighborhood is extremely well positioned for future growth. On American Street, it is a designated industrial corridor, but a lot of the approved projects on this corridor are residential mixed use buildings. So you're getting this high density above and then the commercial on the first floor with a mix of different industrial uses on that block. It's actually, in my opinion, kind of like Washington Ave in South Philly, how Washington Ave was historically a very industrial strip. It was never rezoned. And now there's spot zoning that happens where you see these large mixed use buildings coming up on Washington Ave and basically bridging the gap between Point Breeze and Graduate Hospital. American Street is a very, very similar strip of land up in Old Kensington. But as the neighborhood has continued to grow, American Street has become a prime area with a lot more coffee shops, breweries, and restaurants opening on that strip with the residential above it supporting it. So that's been a great thing to see. And as I mentioned in the beginning, despite the stigma that you get with the Kensington name, this is a great positioned neighborhood. And the reason is you are basically flanked by 4 strong commercial strips or commercial strips that could be strong in the future. And then you have the middle strip with Germantown and American Ave anchoring the center of the neighborhood. So let me just go through that quickly. To the south, you have Gerard Avenue. So Gerard Avenue is already bustling with development. It is the border between Northern Liberties and Old Kensington. So from Old Kensington, you can easily walk right down into Northern Liberties. You can enjoy all of the future growth and development that's happening on Gerard Avenue, which is a great feature of the neighborhood. It's pretty much walkable from anywhere in the neighborhood. To the east, you have Front Street, and Front Street is right next to Frankfurt Ave. So I always say this, but there are some properties in Old Kensington that are closer to Front Street and closer to Frankfurt Ave in Fishtown than properties in Fishtown. So the reason why this neighborhood has really come up over the past few years is because of that vicinity to Frankfurt Ave and those commercial strips. So when you're in this neighborhood, you're basically like the little brother of Fishtown. You are right next door. You can still hop over and enjoy all of the great restaurants and bars that Fishtown has to offer, but you're not really paying that same price tag, which is a great feature. And then to the west, you have 5th Street, which borders on Cruz Park, and that's a nice big green space for the neighborhood, which is great for people to enjoy. And 5th Street is bustling now with its own commercial spaces, restaurants, bars, things of that nature. Now, if you go north, Cecil B. Moore is probably the least developed commercial strip in the neighborhood. However, it is still a strip that is zoned to have some commercial elements to it. So again, this neighborhood is literally boxed in by commercial strips that are either already very strong or have a lot of future growth. And then they have the center strip that anchors the neighborhood, which is great for Old Kensington. Another really nice thing about Old Kensington is it's really easy to use the public transportation. So you do have the ability to hop on the trolleys on Gerard Avenue. And then you also have very easy access all along Front Street to many different stops for the L train. So going right into Market Street and then Center City, you can hop right on and get into Center City within 10 to 15 minutes. So the ability to be in this neighborhood, not pay the sticker price of Fishtown or Northern Liberties, but still be in close vicinity to both of those neighborhoods, be able to hop right over to them and take advantage of that while also having the same access to public transportation is really, really huge for Old Kensington. And again, that's why I feel like there are so many people flooding into this neighborhood right now. And so let's talk a little bit about values in the neighborhood because they do have quite a wide range. And I've sold properties in Old Kensington at this point that are literally over $1 million brand new construction. However, you can still find relatively affordable entry point price homes in this neighborhood, which is another nice feature of the neighborhood. And depending on where you're positioned in the neighborhood, prices can be a little bit more expensive going closer to Frankfurt Ave and Germantown Ave, or they can get less expensive if you're going out further towards 5th and Cecil B. Moore. So that's kind of how that value scale works in the neighborhood generally. The further southeast you are, the more expensive the properties are. The further northwest you are, the less expensive generally that the properties are. But in this neighborhood, you can find the 2-story entry level price point properties for that $300,000 sweet spot, which is a really nice entry point for first-time home buyers. But then you also have condos that can span from the high 2s all the way up to the 400s. You have properties in that middle price point of the $500,000 where you might even start playing around with getting parking. And then you can go up to 7, 8, 900,000 if you're getting a brand new luxury new construction with garage parking. But the nice thing is, if you went into the heart of Fishtown or Northern Liberties for that same comparable product, you're going to be paying a lot more. So it gives you that affordability factor by still giving you the vicinity to those commercial strips at a discount. So Old Kensington, in my opinion, is one of the top up-and-coming neighborhoods in the city. I think it has a ton of room for future growth. And I think that the people who are purchasing there over, the last few years and over the next few years are going to do really well as the commercial strips in that neighborhood continue to fill in, as they continue to see development, and as the neighborhood continues to basically really play off of the growth of Fishtown and Northern Liberties. So Old Kensington isn't only up and coming, but it's already happening, a lot of the development. So whether you're buying your first place or you're looking for your next investment or trying to even build something in the city, this is a neighborhood that has serious potential, and it should definitely be on your radar. Don't let the Kensington stigma and Kensington name, take you away from exploring this neighborhood. If you want to talk strategy and see what's on the market right now in this neighborhood, definitely shoot me an email or drop a comment below. And if you found value in this video, hit the like and the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.